Is your family tree a mystery? Are you fascinated by genealogy? Well, hip hip hooray, let's talk DNA with Julie.
The truth is in your genes.
In Cutoff Genes.
Welcome to Cutoff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Jackson, and I'm a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I am Richard Castle, the producer, co-host, jingle writer, and everything else. Right-hand man, right-hand, left-hand man.
Yeah, right. You're on the right. You're left-handed, though, right?
I am left-handed. I can't do anything with my right hand except play the piano. And I don't know why I can, because I can't even hold a pen in my right hand.
Interesting. My husband's kind of that way, too.
Really? He's
left-handed?
left-handed?
He's left-handed. He does skill things with his left hand and strength things with his right hand.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever separated those things in my, head, whether I, but I always go to my left hand first. Yeah. But I remember when I played Little League back when I was a kid, I could not even hold a bat with my right hand. I mean, I could barely play with my left as well, but I wasn't good at it. But it was just, it felt like it was a useless thing.
If you had had good teachers, they would have forced you to use your right hand.
Exactly. They would have slapped me with a ruler and tied my left hand behind my back. However...
That was the thing.
It's interesting to me, and I think maybe because I learned so young to play the piano, that I have no trouble using my right hand to play the piano. And that is something that you have to be so dexterous, and you have to be able to, be somewhat coordinated with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I remember my piano teacher remarking that I had a mean left hand, like that the left hand was usually weak with most of her students because they weren't left-handed.
Yeah.
And so I should look into that.
You have a mean left hand.
I've got a mean left. It's always slapping.
Let's put that on a turd. On a turd. Let's put that on a shirt.
On a shirt, I've got a mean left hand.
That could mean a number of things.
Well, I would just think it would always be slapping my right. Get out of there. Get out of there.
Sure.
I'm doing like hand puppets now. So, Julie, I have to congratulate us on another thing. Last week I congratulated us on having our first troll,
Yes.
which was nice.
That was a milestone.
It was nice that we gave birth to a troll. But now I found out, thanks to one of our listeners who...
Mike Laughlin, I think.
Okay, who put it on the Facebook group page for Cutoff Genes Podcast, that we are on the top
20 genealogy podcasts from this group is called FeedSpot.
Okay.
And so I got a lovely email from them saying, "Hey, congratulations!" And we're number 11. I'm not sure how the voting went on that, but it's nice to be included.
Oh, I know. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I saw that. I felt so proud. I was like, oh, this little thing we started so long ago.
The little podcast that could.
Yeah, and then we're in the top 20. I don't think
genealogy podcasts.
Well, yes, but I mean, still.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm in the top 20 of anything else.
Well, yes, you are.
I hate to. I don't even want to ask. Go on.
Maybe move on. We need to find a way to get it out there that we're not just a genealogy podcast. I think the genetic genealogy is what makes it, different from other ones. Plus the fact that we're hilarious.
Are we?
Well, some people think so. We think so.
Well, I think we're hilarious, whether anybody else is. But I just, honestly, because most people know this, I knew very little to nothing about any kind of DNA or genealogy before we started this podcast. Right. I just sort of came on as a producer, and then Renee was here as the co-host, and I sort of, would come in once in a while. And now that I'm the co-host, I have learned so much from you and about what I think is a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, if all we did was talk about DNA, I wouldn't really want to be doing this because I just like hanging out with you, Julie, and laughing and talking. And
Okay, so shall we do a clarification corner?
Why not?
Shall I do a clarification corner?
It keeps us honest.
Yeah, it does. All right, so a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I talked about the gentleman in England, in Cornwall, who inherited his biological father's estate.
Yes.
And in describing the estate, there was mention that it was supposedly the property was where King Arthur was born or something like that.
And you want to know if King Arthur was a real person.
Right. I speculated as to whether or not King Arthur was real, and I always thought he was mythological.
And I was concerned because you said that Camelot was not your favorite show, that we were going to have all these haters come out and say, how could you not like Camelot?
It's not my favorite show. I have far less favorite shows than
I know.
Camelot.
You suffered once in silence. I know. Oh, that's
a Camelot joke, everybody. It's a deep cut.
It is a deep cut. What do the simple folk do?
Podcasts. All right. So here's what I got, everybody, and I'm not ashamed to say I was right. So we've all heard stories about King Arthur of Camelot, who, according to medieval legend, led British forces, including his trusted Knights of the Round Table, in battle against Saxon invaders in the early 6th century. But was King Arthur actually a real person, or simply a hero of Celtic mythology? Though debate has gone on for centuries, historians have been unable to confirm that Arthur really existed. He doesn't appear in the only surviving contemporary source about the Saxon invasion, in which the Celtic monk Gildas wrote of a real-life battle at Mons Badonicus, or Baden Hills, around
well
500. Thank you. Around 500 AD. Several hundred years later, Arthur appears for the first time in the writings of a Welsh historian named Nennius, who gave a list of 12 battles the warrior king supposedly fought, all drawn from Welsh poetry. The battles took place in so many different times and places that it would have been impossible for one man to have participated in all of them.
Oh, so maybe he was a myth.
Maybe it was a case of mistaken identity.
Or he could be like a composite of a lot of other kings.
Named Arthur.
Or that they just gave the name Arthur.
Right.
Right. What about the Knights of the Round Table?
What about him?
Well, wasn't he part of that? Like there's always King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table?
Yeah, I think that was part of the Celtic myth, the Celtic mythology.
I think we need to have Julie Andrews on this podcast, and she played Guinevere in Camelot on Broadway.
Do you think she'll know?
And we'll ask her. Well, you know what? I don't think she'll really know, but I'd love to have Julie Andrews on the podcast just so I could ask her questions.
Me too.
Of course, then I'd probably spend most of my time asking her about My Fair Lady and not Camelot, because like you, Camelot is not my favorite show either.
Right.
I did see it when I was a kid. My mom took me to see, and it was Richard Harris was in it, and I don't remember who played Guinevere, but it was on stage in Boston, and I remember not really being...
There was a tour that went out about 10 years ago that I had several friends in, actually, that because it went out of Southern California, with Michael York playing King Arthur.
I didn't know he could sing.
He can't. Anyway.
Oh, God.
So...
Well, he was in the movie Cabaret and didn't sing a note.
That character doesn't sing.
It's just so weird to me that somebody would write a musical and the main character would not sing any songs at all.
Well, I think that was for the movie. Because they wanted Michael York for the part, but he can't sing.
But I saw the play, and I mean, he doesn't really sing.
When I did it, I believe the Cliff had a song.
Really?
I think so. And I'm still in touch with that Cliff. So
you'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him.
Because I don't remember
Facebook friends.
I mean, it's really told from his point of view, and he doesn't sing. Or if he sings at all.
Right, because he's a writer.
Yes, but it's so interesting.
I'm a writer, not a singer. I cracked myself up.
You really did.
I really did.
Anyway, I'm sorry. If Julie Andrews, if you're listening, please come on our podcast.
You think Julie's listening?
No, I don't.
You know, I am 2 degrees of Julie Andrews.
How so?
Actually, I'm not probably even closer than that. It's because of my immense film work. But I auditioned for Julie Andrews once for a show that she was directing at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh.
And so I got to sing for Julie Andrews.
Oh my God. Were you nervous?
It was crazy. It was really weird. And so I had to sing something legit, and then I had to belt. And, you know, I'm a belter.
Yes.
More than anything. But I can sing legit. But that's the one thing she said after I did my belt. She said, well, we know you can belt. Moving on.
Wow.
So that was nice.
Did you get the part?
Nope.
Oh. Julie, we will not hold that against you, Julie Andrews.
Yes. And also then another time when my son was in preschool, he had a play date with a friend. And I went to pick him up. I allowed him to go home with that mom. And I went to pick him up. And I was in the house, and I kept looking around. I'm like, why are there so many pictures of Julie Andrews around here? And she said, oh, that's my mother-in-law.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah, I think it was Blake Edwards' daughter, I think. Fun story.
That is a fun story. I'm totally interested why Beckett didn't continue that relationship. Just for the
preschool
stories.
relationships don't really last.
Oh, it was preschool.
It was preschool.
Oh, I guess they don't. Huh?
We move on after preschool.
I don't think
usually.
I have any friends left from preschool.
Right.
What's going on in DNA, Julie?
Hey, what's going on in DNA? What do I have for you? Oh, here's something that Blaine Bettinger actually posted recently about testing rootless hair.
Oh.
So people are often, when they're making a joke or ask me, they say, oh, so do you say people's hair and do you test people's hair? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. Well, guess what? It's going to work that way.
Really?
Yes. So I'm just going to quote Blaine. What he said was, although it's become clear over the past 1.5 years that testing rootless hair for autosomal DNA is increasingly possible as this area of science improves, there hasn't been much discussion at all. I just discovered this paper from January about testing rootless hair. While most DNA in rootless hair may actually be autosomal DNA, which is what we use for relative matching, it is extremely fragmented. This is why it hasn't been detected by existing autosomal DNA detection methods in the past, and why it's currently so hard to sequence. But technology continues to improve, and sequencing is increasingly possible. In fact, there are already rootless autosomal DNA samples at FTDNA being used for matching, although they're very spotty samples. So, the moral of the story is keep your hair clippings, your hair brushes, anything else hair wreaths. What's a hair wreath? Wreaths made out of hair?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's a little disturbing to me.
Yeah, that's weird. And other items in a very short time, there is absolutely no question that you'll be able to test them commercially for genealogical purposes. That's super exciting.
I guess you could just go down to my pillow because I'm losing hair daily.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any of, I wish I had my father's hair. Dang it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think what it might still be on,
Hairbrushes. For women, hairbrushes.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
yeah, I wish I kept one of my mother's hairbrushes.
But why would you?
That's creepy.
Yeah.
I have, I do have my children's teeth, so.
That's right, yes.
There's that. And I have I have a lock of my own hair that my mother kept.
That's
right,
because
really
when you were a baby, right? Isn't that something in a baby box that you would keep like a little...
Yes, I have. Do you know the story about that?
I don't think so.
All right, so my mom had kept a lock of my hair, I guess from my first haircut, and one day she got a letter from her realtor who was helping her, I guess, buy property or something, and he wrote it, and I still have it, and I have the note that was written with it, and she had sent a payment in an envelope that she had put my lock of hair in and sent my lock of hair to the realtor. So he sent it back. He sent it back saying, "Dear Mrs. Dixon," something like, while the texture and color of this hair is intriguing, I assume you want to keep it for your own," or something like that.
That's so strange.
Isn't that adorable, though?
So it was a mistake.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yes, she just used an envelope that she thought was empty, but there was she probably should have labeled that baby.
Please don't accidentally send me any of your kids' teeth.
I accidentally sent a picture to my agent once that my agent had no right to have, and it was very embarrassing for them and hilarious for me.
Well, do tell. Please tell me what the picture was.
All right. I took some artsy pictures during a photo shoot with a photographer that was a friend of mine just for fun, and he printed it up just for me to show my husband and just to have for us personally, just one copy of it.
Right.
And I put it in a stack of pictures.
Like headshots?
And it happened to get mixed in with some headshots that I sent I think they were my daughter's headshots, actually. And I sent it to her agent. And I got a phone call one day saying, this is Pam.
Oh, no.
Wondering if you meant to send us a naked picture.
Oh, my God.
It wasn't naked. It was artsy. But yeah, and I started laughing out loud, and then I heard her talk to the other girls in the office saying, "She's laughing, it's okay."
Oh,
and they all went,
God.
"Oh my gosh."
Strangely enough, that's when Julie's career really took off.
You know what is funny? That is before I was in an Adam Sandler movie with Jennifer Aniston, and it was about my boobs. And that was after that picture.
I must have missed that movie.
It was called Just Go With It. Check it out, guys.
It was called Julie's Boobs.
It was called Julie's Boobs.
All about Julie's boobs.
So, yeah, if you want to see me in my prime, check out the movie Just Go With It. You'll be shocked.
Yeah, and if you want to see Julie's artsy picture, we'll put it on the Facebook page.
No, we will not.
Oh, darn, I thought I'd get away with that.
Nice try. Let's take a break. I'm going to punch you.
You are a belter. If you're enjoying Cutoff Jeans, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me.
Okay. So there appears to be something in the genealogy zeitgeist called the theory of 8 surnames that I've heard a couple of people touch on.
8 surnames?
8 surnames.
Okay.
It's very interesting. And I'm going to paraphrase this from a blog called noisybrain.wordpress.com. So this person was told that everyone should know and be able to recite their 8 surnames. These are the surnames of a person's 8 great-grandparents.
Oh, my gosh.
A good game is to ask, can you name yours? Can you name yours?
My great-grandparents?
Yep.
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I cannot.
Can you name any of them?
I can picture one of them because my mom had like what almost looked like a painting, but it was a photograph, one of those old Russian ones that look, and it was framed above a bed in a guest room. And I remember, and I can see him, and my mom used to say to me, "You look just like him."
He's your great-grandfather.
And I thought, I think it was my great-great-grandfather,
Oh, okay.
actually. I could name my great-grandfather. His name was Jacob.
There were 8 of them. One of their names was Jacob.
Okay. 8.
Jacob.
Jacob.
8 grandparents. Great-grandparents.
Oh, my gosh.
What was his last name?
I think it was Mintz, but I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I need to do your tree.
You really do.
Yeah, I really do. So
We're 61 episodes in, Julie.
I really should have done that by now. It's not like I'm busy or anything.
When Renee's first podcast, she was spitting into a tube.
That's true. Well, anytime you want to.
Maybe you could grab my hairbrush. I got a lot of rootless hairs.
Full disclosure, I already did. Okay, so
It's sad that I have so little hair left that I didn't even notice the brush was gone.
because who needs a brush? All right. So people can be expected to know just 2 ancestral names, obviously, their fathers and their mothers. And with genealogy as a hobby, I know dozens of names, obviously, but to come up with 8.
8.
Yes.
Wow.
And I had to think, well, I didn't have to think about it. I just had to look because
Yeah.
I know them, but I just I can't recite them. But it's lovely to be able to just know your 8 names like they were your own and to produce them Trumpton style. This person said Trumpton style. I don't know what that means. I guess I have to Google it. Because, of course, they are your own. They are your own. You are not just your paternal line or your maternal line. It goes to 8 names.
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up because I think anything that I know about those people are just stories that were handed down from my mom and my grandmother, or, because my dad lost his father when he was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
So he would tell me about him, but I know nothing about my father's grandparents. My grandmother came over from Ireland,
Right.
his mother. And so I don't ever remember her talking about her mother.
And that's why people are that's what makes genealogists.
Right?
Because
You want to know, right?
everybody needs one in a family.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I really actually have never thought about that.
Yeah, I know. It's a fun thing. So, my patrilineal surname is Fisher.
Yeah.
It's my father's surname, but it's just one name in my line.
Right.
Of 8. It's only a percentage. I have 8 barrels to my surname. Okay? So the idea that because we have 2 parents, it makes us a combination of just 2 surnames, being defined by the combination of just 2 lines of DNA. That's as unreal as having just 1 surname.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We have everyone's DNA. So let me see. Here's my 8, in case anybody cares. Wait, I'm going to read this first. Often in some specific respect, we feel we are the doppelganger of someone specific, but it could be a second cousin once removed or a great-great aunt. You don't need to share a surname. Mm-hmm. I have more distant relatives that I look more like than...
Right. Yeah.
So here are mine. Fisher, Taylor, Parker, Anderson, Price, Ball, Kramer, Hausen. Do you think I'm Caucasian?
Well, I mean, upon first sight? Yes.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, the only...
I thought it was a trick question.
No,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God, I'm going to be called a racist.
Yeah. No. That's true because, right. So...
How dare you call me Caucasian when you know that my great-great-great-grandfather, was from India.
Right. Yeah. No, I was all of these people except for Kramer came from England,
Yeah.
Scotland, and Norway.
Well, you don't get much whiter than those three countries. I'm sorry.
Right. And Kramer is German.
And German.
Yes, exactly. Especially German. But every single one of these names of my line migrated to Australia between 1850 and 1870.
Really?
Gold Rush. But all 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. So try it. You'll like it.
Well, I mean, I don't even have anybody to ask at this point, because my parents are gone.
That's why we have genealogy.
And now I want to think of, when I think about my mom told me about that picture of her great grandfather that she thought he looked like me, and I never thought that because I was a kid, and you don't want to hear that you look like some old man in a picture. But now I want to find that picture.
Is it still in the family?
I'm sure it is. We would never have gotten rid of it.
Yeah,
but
you need to find
it's
that.
It's probably still in her, in my stepdad's house.
Yeah.
But I would love to see it and look at it, and if it's like some picture of Dorian Gray or something,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's
that
me.
That would be fantastic. One of my favorite things about genealogy is old pictures and studying them to see what I can figure out about these people. My dad's family had a painting in their family since they came to Australia or went to Australia from England. And they always used to say, yeah, that's your great, great, great something. And he was a Queen's Guard, but nobody knew his name or anything. So since I've done my dad's genealogy and I specifically wanted to try to figure out who this guy was. And, in the painting, he is wearing a uniform, a British uniform. And so I Googled that uniform, or I looked for uniforms that were identical to that.
Right.
And I came up to the exact regiment that uniform was for.
Wow, that's specific.
And sure enough, it was Yorkshire. It was from a Yorkshire regiment, and that family is from Yorkshire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very gratifying to be able to do that. And I have it narrowed down to 2 people that it might be. I don't know which one.
I love, and maybe this is part of the reason, earlier I had said that I didn't know anything about DNA, or and I wouldn't have been part of this podcast if you had
It
not
wasn't
been.
me.
It wasn't you.
Yeah.
But when I think about it, it does touch us all because just in this closet in the room we're in is a box full of things that were my mother's. She's no longer with us, and there's a bunch of pictures, and I loathe to throw them out because I don't. But I remember her, going through them and saying, "Oh, this is so and so, and this is so." But we never wrote it down, and she's gone, and so to me, these pictures are of people. And I don't know who they are.
Yes.
And it's hard, you go, oh,
People
God.
should always write on the back of them.
I know.
Yeah.
I would love to know, because I would love to know which ones I can throw out. Is this just her high school friend that I don't care about? Or is this a relative that I may want to keep the picture? So,
it's true.
It does touch me when we talk about that stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely. Malcolm, not my dad.
Yes.
When I met him, he gave me his entire album.
I remember that.
Of family pictures, and there were people in there he didn't know who they were, but I did because of my research.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. And then I think back, before there was photography, I mean, nobody would know what your relative looked like. Other than some parents saying you look like you're my grandmother or something like that.
Yeah.
But there was no physical proof of that unless they had a portrait drawn or something, know? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I love that. I love finding old pictures. The earliest pictures I have of my biological people are the early 1900s, I think. And they're really cool.
Because that's when photography, became more
mainstream that people could afford.
Right.
But even then, if you were really poor, you couldn't afford it.
That's why I think that picture that was above the bed, that framed picture of my great grandfather, whatever it was, that looked so old. And when people had to say sitting still for so long,
and they have no expression on their face at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering that could actually be from the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
And it was in Russia, because it was before my family came on my mother's side from Russia or Eastern Europe. I'm not sure exactly where, but
Very cool. So that is the theory of 8 surnames. I challenge you all to see if you can figure it out and name them in the Facebook group.
We will test you, and we will as soon as we get back from this break.
There will be quizzes, no wagering.
Thank you for listening to Cutoff Genes with Julie Dixon-Jackson and Richard Castle. That's me.
All right, story time.
Yes. Oh, good. We're part 2, right?
Yeah, part 2 of Emily Peace, our Aussie friend, her Epic Odyssey. And it is somewhat epic.
Her Epic Odyssey.
So good. That was so good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm taking a bow.
Yeah, you can. We can just end it here. Okay. So when last we heard from Emily, she had narrowed down her possible grandfather to one of 2 brothers.
Okay.
It would be one of 2 brothers. So, and she really went there with trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Super impressed with Emily. So guys, take a listen and we'll talk to you on the other side.
So just a little background on that. My biological grandmother was a nurse at a mental hospital in Sydney at the time of Mum's conception. So she was actually living on the hospital grounds at the time. So we actually ended up with 2 suspects. They were brothers. So from that point, I took the mirror tree and started to build out these brothers' other side of the family, just to see what would happen when I attached Mum's DNA to that section of the family tree. Mm-hmm. Nothing was coming up, and I was a little confused. I was like, okay, what's going on here? What I did realize was these brothers, their connection to Bridget was via their mother's side. But the father's side, they're all descended from only children.
Oh.
So I thought, okay, this could be the reason I'm not getting any hits on both sides of their family.
Okay.
I thought, okay, that's a little annoying. We'll leave it and I'll just keep researching. It's fine. Actually, Bridget even started to suss out these brothers because one of them's still alive. They all have children. Mm-hmm. So she was actually sort of putting out feelers with them while I was researching, which was great. But she wasn't getting anything useful, and they were getting a little defensive, understandably.
Yeah.
So we tried off that. That was Mum and I. We don't want to cause any trouble with anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, that we all we're very eager, but sometimes we come on a little strong.
You have to take backward steps sometimes.
Absolutely.
So we left that, and when I can get to the end of this, I'm so relieved we didn't push it further.
Oh, okay.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
But then a third cousin match popped up, maybe 6 months into me really delving into these brothers' family tree. She did not match the maternal side, nor did she match Bridget, Laura, and all the other matches that I had discerned were paternal matches at all.
Okay.
There's no connection whatsoever. She matched us at 93 centimorgans, and I thought, we're going to call her Rachel. I reached out to Rachel. She got back pretty quick, only to find out that she herself was donor conceived. So I was just like, seriously, there's just nothing easy about it.
There's always at least one.
She had her own search angel at that time. She got on it pretty quick as well. She's quite young. She's younger than me. Mm-hmm. And also very much so gunning for that answer. So it was great to sort of meet someone with that same level of enthusiasm in a similar situation.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
Her search angel had built out her own mirror tree, which she shared with me. And what I realized was her mirror tree, there was nothing in that tree that matched what I had in mind. Nothing.
Interesting. Okay.
Nothing at all. And I was thinking, when I look at her shared matches, we shared fourth cousins that actually had the same ancestral couples as what Bridget and Laura had, which was odd, but they didn't match. So I'm thinking, what is going on here? Someone's tree is incorrect.
Or there's an NPE.
Aha. And I was in denial and left that for. Okay. That feeling of how I'm at square one again.
I do. Yeah.
I just can't compute this right now. So I have a thing. I need to see things visually, and sometimes seeing it on a screen it doesn't click. So I draw them all out.
That makes sense.
So I've got these, crazy boards whiteboards. I need a bigger one actually for this. So I started to do that, and I was researching Rachel's mirror tree as well. I started to notice surnames popping up in Mum's match list at third and fourth cousin level that had the same surnames as what were in Rachel's mirror tree. What I realised when I was looking at both my mirror tree and hers and all the additional stuff that I had done was that I'll give you the surnames that I was working with. I know for a fact that my mum is a descendant of the Purcell and the Saxby families.
Okay.
Now, they come from a very small part of the north coast of New South Wales. Very, very tiny town. So does Rachel's family. What I realised was the Purcells and the Saxbys actually married into each other's families over and over and over and over again.
Oh, okay. So we got a little endogamy light happening here.
Hideous.
Oh, not light at all. Okay.
So essentially what had happened was Bridget had given me a very detailed tree. So she hadn't just given me her first cousins. She'd given me her mother's cousins and all of that. So what I had realised was one of Bridget's first cousins twice removed on her maternal great-grandmother's side had married the brother of her maternal great-grandfather.
Ugh. Oy. Okay.
That was a case again of a Purcell marrying a Saxby. So the first cousin twice removed was a Saxby, and the brother of Bridget's maternal great-grandfather was a Purcell, and they happen to be my mum's grandparents, paternal grandparents.
Oh.
Mum's grandmother, the Bridget's first cousin twice removed, is illegitimate.
Okay.
This is where Rachel comes in.
All right.
Rachel and Mum share great-great-grandparents. That is without a doubt. So, Rachel's donut and Mum share great-great-grandparents. So essentially, Rachel's great-great-grandparents and Mum's great-great-grandparents are the same. Now, one of the sons of this couple fathered Mum's grandmother.
Okay. But now that was the illegitimate part. Was she raised by somebody else? Did they not know?
It was another case of keeping it a secret. There's nothing on her birth certificate.
So how did you figure it out?
By way of Rachel. Rachel's the link, and I went on I visited the town.
Oh, wow.
I met there are people there that Mum and I are still quite closely related to. They don't move out of this place.
Uh-huh.
I walk past and I think I'm related to half of you.
Oh, wow.
But it seems to have been a case of one of the town's worst kept secrets.
Mm.
I mentioned it to Mum's father's cousin, what I thought, and she said, "Oh, yeah, that seems about right because that's what's been going around for the last century."
Oh, okay.
Everyone sort of knew.
So it was just kind of like a secret that everybody knew.
From the sounds of it, except for Mum's grandmother, I don't think she had any clue.
Okay.
Yeah, this grandmother only had one living son who, at the time of Mum's conception, they lived within 10 minutes of where my mum's mother worked.
Okay.
And what I found out recently was that he actually worked as a labourer on the hospital grounds.
Oh, wow.
So the only thing is now is that he's actually kind of missing.
Oh.
Still alive, but he's missing.
He's alive. He's definitely alive.
We've confirmed that
Okay.
with the registry, births, deaths and marriages here. They probably shouldn't have told us that, but they've we tried to obtain his birth certificate and they said they required permission from him.
Oh, well, great. What about the electoral rolls?
Disappears off them after 1985.
Oh.
Shows up in a family photo at a wedding in 1994.
Oh.
And also attended one of his niece and nephew's weddings in 1999.
Okay. So somebody knows where he is.
Someone knows where he is.
Yeah.
We just know what's happened to make him drop off so suddenly. He just stopped talking to everyone.
Oh, that sounds like sociopathy to me. That sounds like behavior of somebody who does stuff without thinking and then runs from it and starts their life again.
Sounds a little bit like it. It's been one thing after another.
So when is the last you heard, the last you had a sighting of him was where and when?
I think it was his niece's wedding in 1999 in February.
Okay. Well, it was 20 years ago.
Okay. After that, he just stopped calling and they all just sort of assumed that he had died. But the New South Wales births, deaths and marriages did say that they don't have a death record for him.
Okay.
So when I search other death registries, he's not in there either. No obituaries.
Unless he's a John Doe.
Possibly.
Or changed his name.
He hasn't got a wife. He's not married. We know that.
I bet he has other kids, though.
You know what? It's funny. One of the nephews did say that he wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It's usually if there's one, there's going to be more.
So it's just been one big tangle, and I'm still sort of working to find him.
Yeah, you're in that place now where you just kind of have to wait for more people to test and hope that one day you'll wake up and look at it and boom, you got another second cousin and it gives you your answers.
So that's the other issue though, because we've got instances where, Bridget shows up so high that we thought it was a first cousin once removed.
Oh, so what is she exactly?
She's a second cousin on her grandfather's side to us, but she's also on her grandmother's side, maternal grandparents. On her mother's side, she is a first cousin twice removed to us.
Okay, so we've got some pedigree collapse in there. So that's why, that's a problem. Ugh.
On Mum's illegitimate paternal grandmother's side, there are instances of half relationships because her father went on, so Mum's paternal grandmother's father went on to get married to someone else and have other children.
Right.
So there are those instances, and the descendants of those children are popping up in our match lists at the moment.
Yeah, you've got it somewhere between endogamy and pedigree collapse. It's a nightmare.
It's a little bit.
I'm so impressed that you were able to figure that out, though. I mean, that you actually went to the town. That's impressive. That you just kind of went and talked to people. I love that.
I actually did. I went up in January. I've done it twice. I drove up. It's 3 hours, sometimes 4 from where I live. And I went and sat in a coffee shop because these places are this small that everyone knows everyone. They knew straight away I was visiting. Oh, weird. I sat in the corner having a coffee in this coffee shop and I just watched. I watched the people working there and I could see that they knew everyone else who came in. They were asking them questions about their family and all of this. I was armed with photos and documents, and I actually went up after I finished that coffee and I said, I'm looking for someone. Do you reckon you could help me?
Oh, I love it.
And I thought they're gonna throw me out of this place. I can see it right now. I'm gonna overstep. But they're like, hang on, he looks familiar, but we are too young. Go see this couple over here in the corner. They're around the same age. They might know him.
Yeah, I mean, the people that he went to school with would probably be helpful. Well,
yes.
Maybe not now if he's lost contact with them, but geez. Oh, wow. Well, that's a great story and frustrating at the same time.
Very much so. He's 81 in a couple weeks' time.
Oh, well, keep us posted, definitely. And you're on the right track. I love the fact that you leave no stone unturned. That's the way to do it. And I have faith that you are going to solve this. Emily Peace, thank you so much for talking to me today. What a crazy story. Please keep us updated. I know you will. I can't wait to hear what happens next, and I have faith. And I will send you good Gen Genie vibes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot. And that concludes the Epic Odyssey of Emily Peace.
Wow. There's so many epic odysseys.
All odysseys are epic by nature.
I guess so. Maybe I don't have an odyssey. I've got I've got an anecdote. You don't ever hear of you don't hear of an epic anecdote.
Well, you should. Well, I think because by definition, Odyssey is something that takes years.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got a lot of little anecdotes that I guess could add up to an Odyssey, but they don't. I don't think in terms of larger stories. I think of little short stories.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I appreciated Emily coming on and telling her epic Odyssey.
Me too. Thanks, Emily. She was really fun. Wasn't she fun?
Yeah, very, very sweet.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Nice. It's
Thanks,
nice
Emily.
to hear. I love the accent.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Also, Emily's mom, by the way. Little aside. Thanks for that. Anyway.
I am Richard Castle. You can follow me on Twitter at Castle Songs, or you can go to my website, richardcastle.com, where you can find out that I am a pianist and songwriter. And that's really all there is to know about me, except for my little epic anecdotes.
Nice. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson on Twitter. I'm at joolsjackson with 2 O's. The podcast is at Cutoff Jeans Pod. Join the Facebook page, Cutoff Jeans Podcast. Answer the question. I'll probably let you in. And I wanted to give a really quick shout out to listener and former Epic Odyssey person, Gemma Vicarage, who is our British reporter that we spoke to, who's been a listener since the beginning. She's going through a tough time with her little boy Artie. He has an illness. He's in hospital.
I saw that.
Yeah,
yes,
and,
on the Facebook page. Yes.
Yeah, and they're fighting like crazy. He's going to get through this. He's a tough little kid, and they're doing everything they can. But however you guys send out positive thoughts, however you want to do that, please do that for Gemma and her family. And we love you, Artie, and we love you, Gemma, and we're thinking of you, and you got this.
That's really nice.
All right. Okay. And on that note.
Yes, Julie.
The truth is in your jeans.